mathematicians. Today we're going to talk about mixture problems. These can get rather tricky, so I've provided you the table and notes already to work off of. For the first example, I want us to practice setting up some of these. Okay. So if there are 38 boards, we have a mixture of 8-footers and 10-footers in there. So there's 38 total, which is the key. All right. Let's look at scenario A. If there are 7 8-footers, how many are left to be 10? Remember, there's 38 altogether, so it must be 31. And how did you get that? 38 minus 7. Okay. Now let's look at situation B. We're not sure how many 8-footers there are, but we have 25 10. So if there's this time 25 10, how do you figure out how many 8 there are? Our total minus the 25 leaves us how many left over? 13. The reason I want to talk about that is for when I get to C. There are X number of 8-footers. How do we figure out the 10? Well, up here we just subtracted 38 minus this. Okay, gives us our missing piece. So if I have 38 minus X, that's how many 10-foot there are. 38 minus X. You're going to take the total minus the other to give us that one. So what about here? If I'm not sure how many 8-foot ones there are, I know there's 38 total. 2y. How do you figure out our missing one? 38 minus 2y. Okay, always take the total, subtract the one you are given to find your missing. What about for here? If there are z plus 2 8-footers, how do you find out how many 10-foot there are? We have 38 total, so 38 minus the number of 8-footers, so z plus 2 will tell us how many 10-foot there are. Well, I can minus the pieces that match, so 38 minus z, 38 minus 2, 38 minus 2 is 36 minus z. So we're going to be using it a lot today. Take the total minus the one to find the other. Total minus the one you're given to find the other one. We're going to use some of that knowledge here. How many pounds of coffee beans that sell for $9.50 per pound should be mixed with 2 pounds of coffee beans that sell for $11.75 per pound to obtain a mix that sells for $10 a pound? So we have our 3 types of beans set up. We have a type that sells for $9.50, a type that sells for $11.75, and I want to know a pack that would sell for 10. Okay. So our question is how many pounds of the $9.50? So that's my X. I'm not sure how many pounds. It's $9.50 per pound, so the cost is $9.50. And to find the total, $9.50 times the number of pounds. Cost times the amount gives us our total. It tells us how many pounds of the $11.75 do we want. We want 2 pounds of the $11.75, it says right there. And what's the cost? $11.75. How do you find the total here? Well, if I have 2 of them at $11.75 each, you will multiply and get $23.50. Okay. Those are the 2 types of beans that we're mixing. So when I mix those, you are going to add those together. You're mixing these 2 types of beans. So add those together to give us our total amount. And we said we wanted the cost to be $10 per pound. And what did we do up here? We took the cost times the amount, cost times the amount. So down here we should also cost times the amount. That can be x plus 2 or 2 plus x. Okay. So I have this price plus this price to equal our total price. So I have the $9.50 price plus this one here, and we want it to equal our $10 beans here, so okay. So amount times the cost for the total, amount times the cost for the total, amount times the cost for the total. If you add these up, because we're combining these two beans in one bag, it has to equal this. Right? Let's simplify a little bit. 10 times 2, 10 times x. We have a two-step equation. All right, I have more x's over here with 10, so I'm going to minus 950. How many x's are we left over? 10 minus 9.5, or 950. 50.5x. And next step, minus 20, minus 20. 0.5 or 0.50x equals 350. And what will you do now to solve for x? Divide by 0.5 or 0.50, divide by 50. X equals 7. You will need 7 pounds of the 950 beans to make this mixture. Okay? You will need 7 pounds of the 950 beans to get our mixture. Let's take a look at another one. Jerry feeds her cat gourmet cat food that costs $1.75 per pound. She combines it with cheaper cat food that costs 50 cents per pound. How many pounds of cheaper food should she buy to mix with 5 pounds of gourmet food if she wants the average price to be $1.50? So what you're doing is you're taking 2 types of cat food, mixing it in so that it averages out to be a in-between price. So it says how many pounds of cheaper food. So that's our X, the one we want to know. How many pounds of cheaper food? Which one is the cheaper food? The 50 cents per pound. So I'm going to put X here. And how much does that one cost? 50 cents or 0.5. Cost times the amount will give us our total price. Cost times the amount gives us the total price. What else are we told? She's going to mix it with 5 pounds of gourmet food. Which one is the gourmet? The $1.75. So there's our 5 pounds. What was the cost? $1.75. And how do I find the total? Add them together. 5 times, or multiply them together. 5 times $1.75 gives us $8.75. So now we are combining these two. So if I combine those two, what does that look like? 5 plus x. Remember, I am getting some of the good, expensive cat food, and I am mixing it with some of the cheaper cat food. So I'm adding those two together. Same thing here. I need to add these together. Oh, no, I want $1 per pound is my cost, sorry. $1 per pound. Cost, I was getting ahead of myself. $1 per pound is here. Multiply those, I'm multiplying by 1, so that will not change. Now I know if I mix these two, it has to equal that price. Okay, I have to mix these two to get this one, so I have to add these two together. And that has to equal the mixture. These are the two I'm mixing, and it has to equal the mixture. Let's move some things around. This is a two-step equation, so I'm going to move my x's. Okay, so 1x minus 0.5, 0.5x. These cancel. What will you do next? Minus 5, what do I do on one side? Must do the other. Left with 375 equals 0.5x. What is our last step to solve? Divide by 0.5, what do I do on one side? Must do on the other. X equals top divide bottom. And we get 7.5. And what was X representing? The cheap cat food. We should have 7.5 pounds of the cheap cat food. Remember, we were mixing expensive with cheap. So fill in our table, the amount, the cost, add those up to find our mixture, solve for our variable. Nice job today, mathematicians.